His Excellency the Prime Minister of Bhutan, the distinguished Chief Ministers of West Bengal and Delhi, our guests, the Honourable Ministers from Bangladesh and the United Kingdom, my colleague in the government, Shri Suresh Prabhu, Ministers of the West Bengal government, leaders of the industry present on the dais and in this auditorium, ladies and gentlemen. Let me at the very outset congratulate the government of West Bengal for second year in a row for organizing this Global Economic Summit. This summit is much more than just a ritual event. I say this because the world today is passing through very critical moments. The new year 2016 has started for the world as a whole on a very challenging note. I have been repeatedly saying that there was a time and period in the past where challenges and crises used to emerge occasionally, maybe once in a decade. But today, with the global economy so critically integrated, volatility is the new rule. It's the new norm. We've seen in the last few days the price of oil collapse. We've seen the currency crisis currently on in China. And obviously the global slowdown. Yesterday, the World Bank refixed the figure of global growth at 2.9%. I think the Prime Minister of Bhutan would perhaps be wondering why we should not now accept the Bhutanese index of gross domestic happiness over the GDP index that the world conventionally follows. The happiness index is what Bhutan as a country and an economy has been following. In this crisis, India is fighting its way to still struggle and improve. The West Bengal Global Summit today, 2 days from now, Andhra Pradesh is organizing a similar summit. 3 weeks from now, Karnataka is organizing a similar summit. This is all indicative of the fact that notwithstanding the global crisis, where external factors adversely impact on us, on the strength of our domestic factors, governments at the center, governments in various states, are still devising and finding methods of how to make Indian economy and the economies of each of their states to be stronger. How does an economy grow? I think the starting point is very clear. You need investment. And that is why all the distinguished persons on the dais anxiously look forward to an environment in which their investments can yield results. Investments will lead to economic activity, it will lead to jobs, it will lead to more revenue, it will lead to better infrastructure, it will lead to the government in the state having more money for its poverty alleviation schemes. And if we are not in a position to attract that investment, we'll be destined to cause what happened even in West Bengal for almost 3.5 decades. If investment dries up and starts moving out, there'll be no jobs, there'll be no revenues, there'll be hardly any growth. And probably we'll only have some shallow political slogans to lean back on. And I think one of India's greatest strengths today is that irrespective of governments, their political differences, their ideological differences, governments across the country are realizing that we have to formulate policies which enable us to attract this investment and expand economic activity. And that is why not only there is a policy formulation change, there is a mindset change, even the idiom is changing. Each state is today counting how do we make business easier in the state. You make business easier by having a stable policy, and therefore summits of this kind held year after year demonstrate a clear intention of a break from the past, where there is an increasing realization that economy will work only if large businesses, large economic activity comes into the state, which creates jobs, which gives us revenues, where an enriched state government then can enable and service its poverty alleviation programs. There are still many challenges that we have. If we look at ourselves nationally, our services sector has significantly improved. It's been more or less consistent. There are now green shoots visible in the manufacturing sector, which after some period of slowdown is now picking up. But we've had 2 continuous less than normal monsoons, which pulled down the agricultural growth rate, which in fact impacted purchasing power in the rural areas. Fortunately, West Bengal is blessed with a lot more water than is available to the rest of the country itself. Now, it is in this situation that we are looking forward to a situation where the glory of a state like West Bengal can always be restored back. West Bengal and Kolkata was an industrial hub at one time. It was an industrial head ahead of Mumbai also. Policies of the past adversely impacted that. But West Bengal has many assets. The Honorable Chief Minister was just now mentioning about it being the nucleus of being a regional hub. West Bengal has the potential for great agriculture. West Bengal has one of the best human resources in this country. Bengal is known for its razor-sharp minds. Its people are known for their intellect. Its potential to become a hub of services sector, particularly in as much as educational institutions are concerned. is almost obvious. It has a history of having produced some of the best minds in the country. It has a potential for becoming one of the best research centers as far as India is concerned. It also has some parts of a natural resource. And therefore, if Bengal follows a policy which is investment friendly, which is business friendly, I have not the least doubt that the original glory which belonged to the state can always be restored back to the state. Today, while the world faces a grave crisis, we in India are still managing, and even the World Bank yesterday asserted that India becomes still amongst the large economies the fastest growing. Within this fastest growing economy, how do we improve our growth rates a little more? If in an adversity India has a potential to grow at 7.5%, is it impossible for India to add another 1.5%, which gives us the cutting edge, which adds to our jobs, which enables us for poverty alleviation, which gives us more resources to service the poor? And I think it is here that India needs to invest a lot more, firstly in its infrastructure. We have for the past over a year been enhancing a large amount of public spending into infrastructure. We intend to continue with that direction. We need to enhance our public spending into our social infrastructure. And I think there's a third important area. We need to enhance our spending into our rural sector. Irrigation, rural roads, rural electrification. Because it is this spending which almost brings back instantaneous results. The central government has been following a policy that as far as the states are concerned, the states have to be economically empowered. And therefore last year, when the Finance Commission recommended enhanced monies to be given to the states to improve upon their economic potential, we readily accepted that decision. Proposals of the state governments now are more rapidly cleared. In fact, I can say with a reasonable sense of confidence that the Honorable Finance Minister of West Bengal is regularly in touch with us, and all issues pending with regard to the state are attended extremely expeditiously so that industrial projects in the state could be expedited itself. The strength of India is its federal polity. The strength of India is that despite political differences, we cooperate with each other because there is a constitutional structure that binds the center and the state. West Bengal today contributes about 6 to 7% of India's national GDP. A strong West Bengal is going to enhance its contribution further to India's GDP. India grows if the states grow. And therefore, the government at the center has a vested interest in making sure that states like West Bengal grow. There is an additional factor. Conventionally, states to the eastern part of India haven't grown as rapidly as those states to the western part of India. States to the western part of India had achieved a reasonable growth rate and a reasonable base as far as the GDP is concerned. The enhanced 1 to 2% of India's GDP substantially has to now come from states to the eastern part of India. And that is why it is this region, from East Uttar Pradesh to Bihar to West Bengal to the northeast to Orissa, where the potential for growth is going to be much higher, and therefore we have to concentrate for growth in this region. I have come here. My other colleagues would also be here from the central government to assure the government of West Bengal that in all policy initiatives that it is going to take for the industrial growth of West Bengal, the central government, as a part of its constitutional obligation and our policy interest in making eastern part of India grow faster, will stand solidly and work hand in hand with the state in order to ensure that not only investment comes into the state, but the growth rates in this part of the country grows much faster. I'm extremely grateful to the government of West Bengal, particularly the Honorable Chief Minister, for having invited me. I was invited last year also to this conference. And as I mentioned in the very opening, the fact that these continuously keep happening add to the confidence of the investor that this is now the new policy direction that the government of West Bengal intends to follow. I wish the state and the Honorable Chief Minister all the very best.